everyone. So today we are going to study about functions. So let me first configure this. I hope you remember how to do it. Okay. Yeah, this is fine, I guess. And it works perfectly. Yes. Cool. That was the previous one. Let me just remove this, and today we will be learning about functions. So let me just rename this, and I'll rename this to functions. Correct. All right. So first of all, let's say if there is a simple machine where you give some inputs, what does it do then? The machine does some work and then you get the output from it. Work and then you get the output from it, right? So that's what normally happens. Over here, similarly, if I talk about the machine is the function, and there are some inputs which you need to give. Like let's say you're working with the mixer grinder. You need to grind something. The grinder remains the same, right? You just put in different items over there which you need to grind, and then what's the output is if it is the tomato, you'll get the puree of the tomato, right? So over here, similarly, the inputs which you give, they are known as the arguments. Now, the first and the foremost question which you'll be asking me that, hey Simran, why do we need functions? So let's say I write a piece of code where I'll be taking 3 numbers and it will be returning the biggest out of them. So we have done this code, right, with if else before. That would at least take me 6 lines of code. Now, let's say we had to do this multiple times in our program. Like let's say every time the user is doing some kind of a calculation or getting some kind of data where he needs to find out which is the greatest number. What will he do? He'll keep on writing the same type of code again and again? Definitely not, right? So this is where we need the functions, and this is where the functions come in handy, where we can create the functions which will take in 3 values, just like those arguments, just like those tomato we were talking about, that we are giving tomatoes as the input. Over here, we will be taking values in the input. Okay, and then we will return the biggest number or the biggest output, whatever it is, to them. That means I'll return the puree as the output. All right. So now what I told you, this is known as a function, and this would take us to add only 1 line. Okay, let me just simply write down something over here. That is, if I talk about general syntax, how functions look, so I'll write down def function name, and then over here you give whatever you give is the arguments. Okay, these are the arguments. Okay, so for the timing I'm just removing this, and instead I'm writing nothing. I'm just leaving it as it is. Okay. And if I write pass, do you remember what pass does? Yes, it just, I hope you can see it. Cool. So pass basically makes your code run without making it do anything, right? So if I try to run this, it just runs, nothing happens. All right, coming back to the function. So this is a function which I created. Let me just write down a small thing over here that is adding of two numbers. Okay, so I'll write down whenever a print 2 plus 5. Okay, I'm just writing it down for the time being. And if I need to like do some, call this thing, I'll just function name, I'll just use this, I'll just use this word. This will make this code run and you will return, you'll get 7. This is the printed value. Okay, this is the printed value. This is not returned value. I'm printing 7 over here. All right. And for that, I have to call the function wherever it is required. I'll come back to it. But before that, I want you to know that there are two types of functions. Now, first is this one, which I was just talking about. And the second is which we have started from the day one. And that is print, input, type. All those things which we have already worked with before are also known as functions. Okay, so this one is the user defined function. Okay, we have made it, and this one is already there. It is already defined by our developers till now. Okay, so these are the two different kinds of the functions. Now this def means definition. Okay, this def is the keyword to create the function in Python, and this is how the function block looks like. Now, for example, I can take something else as well. Like I was talking about arguments, right? I can just do like this. Oops. I can just simply write down A, comma, B. Okay. And if I write down return A plus B. Okay. Now, do you think is this gonna work? No, it won't work. You know why? Because we haven't given any values to A and B. Let's say I'll write down 2, 5. Now, if I write down 2, 5 over here, and if I try to run this code, it did not return anything. So what do you think do we need to do? Any idea? Any guesses? Anything? Over here, we have passed the arguments. Okay, so we use return statements over here to return some value. Over here, we are not really okay. Just to check, yeah, see, it works. Now if I write down 6, it'll change the value. If I write down 3, it should give you 9. You can just give some random value as well. It will work. So over here, you are passing the arguments. Okay. Now, if I talk about this, we cannot choose to pass any argument at all. That means if I do something like this, that I have written AB over here, but I have just given one number, it will say that missing one required positional argument, because I have asked for 2, but I'm just giving 1. If I do not give at all, then also it will give me an error. And if I write down more than what is required, then that will also give me an error, because see, takes 2 positional arguments. It just takes 2, but we have given it 3. So it will say that I have something extra with me and I'm not going to work for you. Okay, so this is how the function works with the talking about the arguments. Now, what actually happens when we call a function? From the normal flow of execution, when a function is called, what do I mean by normal flow of execution? Let's say I'm writing down a is equal to 4. No, not a. Let me just take hi is equal to 4. This is just a variable. And hello is equal to 5. And I want to print hi. And I want to print hello. Let me just change this to name. Instead of 5, let me just change this to, again, my name, and then see what happens. So first of all, it should print hi, then it should print hello and Simran over here, and then finally it should print this. This is what I mean the normal flow of the code. Okay. Now, okay, so the normal flow of execution, when the function is called, the flow jumps to the place where the function is defined. That means now after this, it just jumps over here. It will find it out where is this word function name written, and then it will jump over there and it will just complete whatever is done over there and give you the required result. And if I write something like this, print hello, hi, it will after this, it will just print Simran 4, because over here hello and hi are done. Okay, so there are a few more rules which you need to know about, which I'll be talking in the next session of function. But I would just like you to play around this a little by adding, subtracting, using functions, doing all of these stuff. Okay, so till then, keep practicing. Let's meet on the next session.